Music, it's the universal language that speaks to our souls. But have you ever wondered how your favorite music came to life? Every song you hear on the radio, on a festival where you go to have fun with your friends, or at any party, have been produced, recorded, mixed, and mastered or remixed using what we call a D.A.W, which means digital audio workstation. And in this video I will teach you how to use one of the most powerful D.A.Ws of all time, which by many maestros of music is referred as Fruity Loops, but by most of you novices is known by the name FL Studio. FL Studio is one of the most powerful and used DAWs in the music industry. It's a software that stands behind many hit records you've been singing and dancing for the past 2 decades. It's known to be used by famous producer and hitmakers like Avicii, Martin Garrix, Porter Robinson, Deadmau5, Metro Boomin, Boy, Wanda, Southside, Murda Beats, and many more. Curious how these legendary producers used FL Studio to climb and build their way to fame and greatness, and how they shaped and impacted the music world forever. What is the secret behind their success? What made them special, and what they know about FL Studio that you don't know yet? I am Krafter. I will teach you FL, and maybe you will be the next legendary producer or artist of this generation or century. Now, regardless of the genre you are planning on doing, there are a few universal things you should know, like how these 5 tabs do and how they work together, how to set up your song BPM, and how to switch from song to pattern mode and what this means, how to save your project, how to add in samples, how to record vocals on sounds, how the mixer works, or what is even a mixer if you don't understand what that is or how it works yet, and many other things which are very important to know, regardless of the genre you are planning to produce. I know it might seem confusing or overwhelming to comprehend as a novice yet, but I will explain how everything works in a second. For now, it's crucial that you understand these 5 buttons or tabs, which are present and the same in all versions of FL Studio, but slightly modified or improved with certain features depending on the FL version. But at their core, they work the same regardless of the version. The first one opens the playlist, and here is where all your song instruments, vocals, and every sound that your song has is placed and organized for the final export of your song. Any audio, regardless if it's a vocal recording, an instrument which performs a melody, a sound effect, any form of sound, can exist in the playlist only in 2 ways or forms, and that is either in a pattern or as an audio sample. A pattern is nothing else than a group of instruments or sounds, or instruments grouped together which behave or sing in a certain way. There are infinite numbers of patterns you can create, and that infinite numbers of melodies and sound combination you can do in each pattern. But the patterns are usually the place where we write the melodies for our instruments to play. You can add a pattern in the playlist by clicking anywhere in the playlist, and nothing is happening or a pattern is not placed is most likely because the pencil or this brush are not selected. Click on them to select, or press P or B as a keyboard shortcut to select them. In case the shortcuts ain't working while trying to use them with your keyboard only, make sure you uncheck this button right here. This button allows you to use your computer keyboard as a MIDI, basically as a piano. It allows you to perform and sing notes with your keyboard. Uncheck it so you can use your keyboard for certain shortcuts. Check it if you plan to use your keyboard as a piano only. Hold right click to delete a pattern, an automation, or a sound, or press T to select the delete tool. This is how you remove something from the playlist. You can see that if try to move a pattern or anything else in the playlist, it locks up to a certain grid. Right now the grid is select a bar. You can change the grid by going to this horseshoes and selecting how small or big you want it to be. You are going to see this shove in a few other places in FL. It works on the same concept everywhere. It helps adjust the grid so you can move either notes around or what you have in the playlist. Pitas, do not bother to change the grid every time. If you want to micro adjust something, you can just hold Alt while you drag a pattern, a sound, or a note. Remember what I told you earlier, that in the playlist you can place only 2 things, which are pattern and sounds. Sounds which could be of a recording you did on the spot, or of a sample, or of any other audio. Well, I want you to know now that there are actually 3 things you can put in the playlist, but the third isn't a sound, neither makes any sounds, is what we call an automation, is usually used to automate certain effects, but that is a little too advanced for you to understand right now. In this column you can see every pattern, every sound, every automation you create or dragged in the playlist. If you want to group certain patterns together, make sure you position them exactly how you want them to be, and then you press Ctrl+G. If you want to undo this, right click on the grouped pattern and select split by channel. You can create different arrangements. In case you want to try out different arrangements of your instruments or song, you can create as many as you like. When you are going to export, FL will export the arrangements that you are currently in at the time in the playlist. And remember, if you delete anything from here, it would be deleted in every arrangements you have. In the playlist you can reposition or delete whatever you want, but if you delete it from here, it will be gone from all the arrangements. In case you made a mistake and you deleted something you haven't planned to, you can press Ctrl+C to undo a mistake you made. The second most important button or tab you should understand how it works is the pattern tab. In here we add instruments and send them to the mixer. You are gonna understand what sending to the mixer is a little bit later. For now I want you to think of the pattern as the place where you add your instruments and write your melodies. You already know how to place a pattern in the playlist. Now is the time for you to understand how to add an instrument and how to create something in a pattern. This button right here switches on and off between the playlist and the pattern. When you see pattern highlighted, it means it's gonna play only what is inside the pattern selected at the time. If the playlist mode is on, when you press spacebar or play, it's gonna play everything that is in the playlist, in the current playlist arrangement that you are in. You are most likely to see already some drum samples when you open your pattern first time. They came with a template. You can hold Alt while you click and drag like this, then press Alt plus Delete to delete them. I am gonna show you how to add drum samples in your pattern a little later while using the browser, but for right now we shall focus only on adding an instrument. To add an instrument, or what we call a plugin or VST, you either right-click on another instrument or sample. If you haven't deleted them all, go to Insert and click on whatever you want to insert in it, or you click on that plus sign down below, and then you click on the plugin you want to use, and you will see it pop up in the pattern below other samples or instruments. The difference between a plugin, VST, and sample is that a sample is an already recorded sound. A plugin is either a library of sounds which allows you to select what sound you are planning to use, either it lets you create your own sound. You are gonna understand this better a little bit later. By turning this off, it's gonna mute your instrument in all patterns, not just in the one you're right now, or you can solo it to hear only what melody is played by that certain plugin. You are gonna hear the sound it makes only in the pattern you are right now. Muting a plugin from here will mute it everywhere. This pans the sound is something that is used in mixing. It will make the sound come either more from the left or from the right ear. And this one is the volume. No, it turns lower or up in volume the instrument, plugin, or the sample. And this number right here it shows in which mixer track the plugin, instrument, or sample is sent to. I'm gonna explain how this works a little bit later. You can group whatever you want by click and dragging them. Then press Alt plus G to group. You can see your groups right here and select them. Or hold Shift and click on whatever you want to group, and then press Alt plus G. Hold Alt and up or down arrow to move a plugin up or down in alignment in your pattern. This is to help you be more organized. This is the most important things you should know by how the pattern works. Also, you will hear me refer to the pattern as step sequencer sometimes. It's basically the same thing in this context. The piano roll, the next very important tab or button in FL that you need to understand how it works, which is directly tied into the pattern. The piano roll is where you write your melodies for the instruments. It also have a strong relationship with this sequencer right here. One note in the sequencer means one step, and 4 steps make one beat. But this is not a music theory video. You can open the piano roll by this tab right here, or right-click in the pattern on the instrument or sample you want to write melodies in, and select piano roll. If you open it from up here, it will open in the instrument that is highlighted in the current pattern you are in right now. Click anywhere to place a note, and remember this horseshoe we talked about earlier. This helps adjust the grid in here for your notes, and it works on the same principle it does in the playlist. Again, this is not a music theory video. Up here you have the same tools you have in the playlist. They work exactly the same, only you are gonna apply them on notes. If you don't know anything about music theory yet, a very powerful and helpful tool is this. Go right here on this arrow, go to view, go to scale highlight, and click on a scale you want to write your melody in. Then go ahead and press this music note right here. This will allow you to place notes only in the musical scale you select. This way, you won't play notes that are out of scale. Everything in the piano roll grid works exactly how it works in the main playlist. Left click to place a note, hold right click to delete it, drag it to extend or diminish, and hold Alt to micro adjust. Down here is the velocity, meaning how loud is each note, and of course there are many other tools like the arpeggiator, stum, but that is a little bit more advanced. For now, just practice adding notes and try to make them sound good in a scale. Press spacebar or click the play button, but remember to be in the pattern mode so you can hear how the melody you wrote sounds like when you are in pattern mode. Remember, everything you have in the pattern you are in is going to play together. If you plan to hear only how this melody sounds in this particular instrument, make sure to mute everything else that has notes in it and play in pattern mode. After you place the pattern in the playlist, you can press play in the song mode, and you can hear it play in the playlist along with everything else that is in the playlist. This is the browser. You can think of it for now as a library that stores all the audio samples you add in it for further use. From here you can load them in your pattern and use them however you like. To add some drum sample or melody loops, you need to go first to Options, File Settings, in the browse where your sound pack is, and just add it in. If you did it right, you should see it in the browser. Click on this to refresh it. From here you can either add it to the pattern by right-clicking on the sound you want and clicking on Open a New Channel. Then you will see it pop up in the pattern, or you can drag it in the playlist. The browser is used for mainly loading up audio samples like drums, but it has many features and it stores several other things as well, like project automation, plugin database, and many more. The mixer is the place where you can send your sounds in for processing. Mixing is one of the most important stages in creating a song. It's how you make all the sounds in a song work and sound good together. It involves certain audio engineering knowledge, but for now, I want you to think about the mixer as the place where you adjust adjust the volume, AM left and right, work on stereo image, and you modify and adjust certain sounds so they could sound better together. This right here is the master track. This is what you export from the playlist. Every sound that is played in the playlist or in a pattern goes through here. If you mute this, it's like you muted the whole project. The rest of the track is where you could send either one instrument or group more instruments or vocals together, so you can add effects on them together instead of modify them separately, but it always depends on the song need. You can see if I open the pattern and I put one in here. If I open the mixer, you're gonna see signal in the one track. Depending on which number you put in here, you will see it play in the mixer on the same track. Over here in the right, in this chain, is where you can add your effects on each track, like reverb, compression, EQ, and many more. But I am not gonna explain how those work right now, since this isn't a mixing video. This is how a mixture on how much of that certain effect you want on the track. By having this knob turned all the way up, it means you will have 100% of the effect on. This mutes the effect, and this down here is a built-in equalizer. To record vocals, make sure this is always turned on, which you will see turn into red. Also make sure that you select your input, then press this right here, or the shortcut R. Then you will see this record button turn on, and you can press space and you will see your vocals being recorded in real time. To export your project, go to File, then Export, browse to the place where you want your song to be exported, and select in which format you want to export. If you ever need the stems, just select this and they will be exported in the folder you selected. Select this if you want to export the stems, simply click Start. Remember to practice and experiment around as often as you can. As a novice, it's very important for you to understand the basics, which are all the things I presented now. Do you advance into further more complex features? Make sure to share with other novices in need, like and subscribe. And remember that even the most famous and successful producers were at this point of learning once. Also, you can leave a comment about what I shall do a video next, or what curiosity about music making you have, and I will make sure to take it into consideration. For now, be proud of your progress. Until next time, let the magic of music inspire you and carry you through greatness, novice.